Chapter 25. Life Still Happens. This is perhaps one of the biggest challenges along an entrepreneurial journey. When life still happens, I'm not referring to the good times. Those are easy. I'm talking about the other side when life happens, better known as when shit happens. As long as you're a living being on this earth, things are going to happen. Remember back in a previous chapter when I mentioned to always be able to see ahead financially? Well, this is when seeing ahead financially really comes into play. That's why you always hear people say saving for a rainy day. Because wise people know that the good times shall be interrupted. There also will be times that money simply can't cover it all. You're not always going to be financially up. Sometimes there's going to be challenges that come about that are both financial and mental as well as physical. Money can't fix all those. One of the things that money can't fix is death. Losing somebody to you is really, really tough, especially the part about keeping on going. That's right. Don't ignore the thought of it. I've never heard of someone going through up and ups for their whole life. When things going wrong and life happens, this is when the G in you shows up. There's an inner G in all of us, I think. Being a G used to carry a meaning that you were in the streets and you didn't let anything knock you down or back. Now it's become a social term that means toughness. There's a G in every single person on this earth. Unless you're the type of person that just lets people run all over them, in which case that type of person wouldn't even be thinking about running their own business. If you're reading or listening to this book, there's a G in you though. So when life happens, like I said, it's the toughest time in your journey. Especially the first time. This is so because the first time when something tragic, devastating, or ultra challenging occurs, it's going to be new to have to keep going. Maybe you've dealt with challenging things like that to some degree in your life, but I promise you, when life happens for the first time and you're a full-time entrepreneur or a business owner, it's going to shock the daylights out of you. It's so tough because despite all the negative thoughts in your head and in your world, if you want to stay in business, you're going to have to keep on going, and you're going to have to figure out how to make it work. This also goes hand in hand with another previous chapter, doing something different to get something different. With anything great comes great responsibility. Part of those responsibilities is to assure that your business is going to keep running. It may sound easy by reading or listening to it, but actually weathering the storm in real life is something that can consume all of your good thoughts and positive energy to get through. See, when you're an employee, you've got rules that the company follows. For instance, if somebody close to you dies, there is quote unquote grievance time. They have that set up because they know that this will happen in their employees' lives. When bad weather happens, the whole company doesn't have to come to work. Everybody gets to stay at home and make sure that their families are safe and away from harm. When you get sick, there's ample time at most jobs that allow you to use up and get better. You get to stay at home and medicate yourself or let your significant other or whomever is in your life take care of you. Even when you're working and you have personal things happen, you find out that your partner's cheating on you, or you're going through too much stress, or your kid does something that takes your concentration away from your job. A lot of jobs offer personal time. So you have sick time, personal time, grievance time, off time due to Mother Nature, and even vacation time. Once you work for yourself, though, all that pretty much is non-existent. Remember I said with anything great comes great responsibility, right? Don't get me wrong, sometimes there simply isn't too much you can do about these unexpected situations, but regardless, it still falls on you. You have to think about your entrepreneurial survival even in the worst of conditions. Most people will be like, it's okay, there's nothing you can do about it. But not you. You're going to figure it out. This is when the inner G will emerge. It's actually pretty amazing what will happen if you focus on survival when the times seem like they're going to get the best of you. Survival instincts. It's like those stories we've heard of someone getting stranded somewhere and you have no choice but to survive. Remember the movie Castaway? He was stranded for years or something like that, and he figured it out. That's the kind of thought process that you'll catch yourself in. Straight up survival mode. You'll surprise your own self. Only if you choose to fight. If you choose to not fight, that's exactly what you'll get, a loss. So in this chapter, though, you've heard me say, quote unquote, it will happen to you. It's because it's true. Life will happen whether you want it to or not. Now, if you go through your journey and you never experience any extremely tough situations, then super great for you. Matter of fact, I need to touch your hand for good luck. As for me, straight out the gate, I faced the toughest challenges that I ever experienced. I had to immediately uproot, move to an unfamiliar place, from a business standpoint at least, and I became responsible for someone else, and then became responsible for one more individual shortly after. Now, I wasn't totally responsible for these two people, but at the end of the day, if anything went wrong, I had to be the one out there and handling it. There's times when I have to show up and put all the pieces together. I could go on and on about the problems I faced for the year of 2017. I mean, I was really tripping. I was wondering what God was doing, but I never questioned him from a place of anger. I would always just ask him to make sure that he kept me and my family safe no matter what. So throughout this whole year of harsh luck and lessons, I had to constantly figure out how to make it. And I'm telling you, the things that I was going through felt like it was a constant stampede on my feelings, my money, my character, my opportunities, and my decisions. I can't go into much detail because the majority of the problems stemmed from a particular side of my wife's family. Just to be safe, you see I'm not even referring to a particular side, right? But if you're reading this and you are from her family, I'm sure you know if it's you or if it isn't you I'm referring to. Now, don't get me wrong, they weren't solely responsible for the things I was going through. Some of the problems that happened was just life. But these particular people sure enough seemed like they were literally partners with the devil in assuring that I would go through the toughest times that I've ever experienced in my life. So I thank you. I thank you all that carried both my name and my wife's name through official court documents and court itself, police documents, our names through the mud, and socially amongst connected people. I seriously thank you. You guys helped make us much, much, much more stronger together. We wouldn't be who we are together without the help from you guys. I'm pretty sure the shit sandwich you guys will eat one day is going to taste like tar and doo-doo juice mixed together. If you listen to this, you see how I'm taking out my mental anger in this book about them, right? But seriously, all the things I'm referring to was life happening. And we made it through. I think my past had a lot to do with it too. At the age of 15 through 18, I learned that things have a possibility of not going your way, and that you have to do what you have to do and switch up angles you're taking in life to be a success. In the 10th grade, I'm pretty sure I was on the way to becoming a pretty good athlete that was probably going to go on to college and at least play a sport for a full scholarship or partial scholarship. I had the drive and the talent to get me there. I was short, but my ability was going to be undeniable. So all I did was eat, sleep, and drink basketball and football. But God had another plan. I tore everything in my right knee. I tore my ACL, my PCL, my MCL, cartilage, and meniscus, all in one moment. And I couldn't have surgery until like the summer approaching my junior year in high school because of my growth plates. The doctor said that if we were to have surgery at the time of my tear, my growth plates would be done growing at that point, or it would prohibit growth at that point, or something like that. Basically, he was saying I wouldn't grow anymore. I think I was probably like 5'3" or 5'4" at the time. And don't get me wrong, I'm not tall now. I'm 5'6.5". But boy, I needed those 2 to 4 inches. So being that I didn't want to stay short forever, I decided to postpone the surgery for like a year, which would be my senior year. In that time, I learned that I had to roll with the punches in life and be great another way. I played football my senior year, but I got hurt again on the very first play of the jamboree. I broke my damn collarbone. What kind of mess is that? I spent 2 years coming back from an injury basically, and then the very first chance to shine, I get injured again? Man, If God wasn't doing something in my life back then, I don't know what God is. So again, at this time, my senior year, I'm on the sidelines for another 5 or 6 weeks. When I come back, I was still on the starting offense. I got to get a taste of what it felt like to actually play varsity football, finally. And I was all right at this point, but I wasn't great at all anymore. It hurt my soul internally, but I kept on playing to finish it out. Plus, it was fun because all my friends played football too. So although that situation was in high school, I believe that I went through all of that to prepare me for situations in my future. When all that stuff happened to me after I quit my job to become a full-time entrepreneur, I wasn't thinking about it at that time, but putting it into perspective now, though, I subconsciously was going through the same challenges for a second time in life. I'm certain God prepared me for that. He put me through the ultra challenges at a young age to get me through another situation that I would face 13 years later. See, the problems that I faced with my love for sports that happened in high school was the experience that I needed to get me to this point as I'm writing this book for 2 reasons. The first one is I developed a vision. See, by me having to sit on the sidelines and watch all my friends play football, I literally had to watch them have fun and compete while I found happiness by just watching. For the time I wasn't playing, the coaches let me hang around and still be a part of everything by being a team manager. That was both a really cool thing and something that hurt bad on the inside. I didn't want to be no team manager, but I had no choice. It was either go do something else or be a team manager and help make these guys good Gatorade and clean up stuff. Looking back at it, maybe I should have went and did something else. But if I hadn't, maybe the journey I would have went on from there would have took me to a whole different place. But hey, sports was all I knew, so I stayed around. During this time of doing what I had to do to stay around, I guess doing all that quote unquote watching gave me a capability of developing a vision. A vision of watching other people do things that I wanted to do and for me to recreate them in my head. A vision of concept. By watching everybody play football and all I could do was play mentally, a vision that could have only been gained by sitting and watching and wishing, which in turn developed a strong imagination. So yeah, I'm actually realizing it more as I read the words out loud in this book. That actually had a lot to do with my success in my video production and marketing company. So when I started, I would find examples on TV and online of what I was trying to create visually and then recreate them on my own. Of course, I had my own sauce, but it was something that was ultimately derived from something else I saw. It's a real gift that I have. Recreating something I've seen done by someone else and making it my own. I don't mean copying either. I mean I learned how to watch what others are doing in their videos and recreating them along with my own style and thoughts of how I should do it. I still practice that till this day on my projects. On my marketing projects, I just simply see what's working for current businesses and then recreate on my end with my own thing. And the second reason why I'm glad I dealt with those challenges I faced in high school was to prepare me for what major problems that I would experience in this entrepreneurial journey. When I started experiencing major problems in my journey straight out the gate, I internally was prepared for them and didn't even know it at the time. So being that I was already experienced and I made it through all those major problems before, if it hadn't been previously experienced, maybe they would have gotten the best of me. And I will be back at a 9-to-5 job and not relaying my lessons to you right now. I'm grateful. And you will be too when you make it through your toughest situations and become a better, stronger person.